Today we're going to start Perek Hey, and we're going to learn the inyan of Givat HaAralot, the mitzvah of Mila and Priya, which Yehoshua bin Nun have done when they came to Eretz Yisrael. I'd like to read the first few psukim in Perek Hey. Bo'ei soyi omar Hashem el Yehoshua, aselecho charvois tzurim, make yourself some knives, charvois tzurim, v'shuv, again, mul es bnei Yisrael sheinis. Make a milah for the second time. Vayas lo Yehoshua charvois tzurim, Yeshua makes charvois tzurim, as he's conducted by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayomo es bnei Yisrael el Givat HaAralot. He was mal bnei Yisrael Givat HaAralot. We'll deal with the name Givat HaAralot, but apparently it was a hill where he was putting all the orlas in, and in the name of the orla, the place was called Givat HaAralot. V'zeh adover asher mol Yehoshua. And here is the story, what, who, and when, and what were included in the mitzvah of the meal of Yehoshua. Everybody who left Mitzrayim, hazechorim, kol anshe hamilchomo meisu bamidbor baderech betzeiso mimitzrayim. All the anshe hatzova died when they came out of Mitzrayim. We'll soon see. Kimulim hoyu kol ha'om hayotzim. Because the people who came out of Mitzrayim were nimoil. V'chol ha'om hayeloidim bamidbor baderech betzeiso mimitzrayim lo yimolu. However, anyone who was born in the 40 years in the Midbar did not make Hemilah. Ki arboim shona holchu bnei Yisrael bamidbar. 40 years bnei Yisrael walked in the Midbar. Ad toim kol hagoy anshe hamulchomo hayotzim mimitzrayim asher lo yishomu b'kol Hashem. Until all the people who came out of Mitzrayim, which were included in Gzeiras HaMeraglim, asher nishbo Hashem levilti haroisom heseoretz asher nishbo Hashem la'avoisom lo yisoslonu eretz zovas chol udvosh. This Doya HaMeraglim, the people, and soon see who we're talking about, they all died in the Midbar. V'ez bneihem, however, the people who were not there, b'sh'as dechet HaMeraglim, Heikim tachtom, they were standing ben kam tachas oviv, oisom mal Yehoshua, those people who were born in the 40 years in the Midbar, Yeshua was mal, ki areilim hoyu, because all those who were born in the Midbar were areilim, ki lo yimolu oisom baderech, because while they were traveling, they weren't mal those people baderech. Vayehi kasher tamu kol hagoy lehimoil, vayeshvu sachtom b'machane ad chayosom. They sat in the machne once they finished the bris milah. They all sat in the machne ad chayosom till they healed from the chabura, from the petza of the milah. So let's just learn the radak. There's a few radaks over here that they must learn, and I would like to learn with them and with a special focus on what's happening. Zok the Radak. We're holding right now, this is Yud Aleph Nisan. You remember yesterday they crossed the Yarden, they went to the Gilgal, they put up the Mishkan after they came back from Har Grizim and Rav Evel, the Brochos, the Klolis, the Korbanos, everything we spoke about in the previous Shiurim. Now they were lan in the Moloin in the Gilgal, and they're standing here, Yud Aleph Nisan. Zok the Radak, please look at the Radak. Be'oid shehoyu bagilgal. This is the morning after, the wake up in the morning in Yud Aleph Nisan. Tziva lo Yehoel, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Metzav Yeshua Lomul, Kedei sheyasu HaPesach, in order to make the Pesach. Ki beyud l'chodesh ovru, because yesterday beyud l'chodesh ovru, ubegimel yomim, which means Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, hoyolem liyos nechoinim la'asois HaPesach, v'lahazois v'litboil kitmei emesim hoyu bohem. There is a halacha that two people cannot make Korban Pesach. Not a Tomei Mes, and not somebody who's an Orel. Zok der Adak. In those 3 days, they had to get rid of their Tumas Meis, and they had to get rid of their Orle. V'shiyu nimoilim kedei sheyakrivu HaPesach b'Yudaled. In 3 days in Yudaled, today's Yud Aleph, in 3 days in Yudaled, they have to be makriv the Pesach. Ve'omru Razabteinu Zal, ki b'Yud lochodesh b'yoim boyom, hizu kulom azoras rishoino. Okay? B'Yud lochodesh, in the day, in other words, we know somebody's a Tomei Mes, he needs 2 azoras, b'yom hashlishi and b'yom hashbi'i. Yoim Asiri L'Chodesh Nisan was the Yoim Hashlishi for their Tuma. So the Azor Shlishi and Azor Shvi. Zokter Radak, Ki Beyoim Asiri L'Chodesh Beyoim Boyom Hizu Kulam Azor Rishoino Shi Azor Gimel Ube'erev Pesach Osu Hazor Shniye Shi Azor Zayin. They had 2 Azors. Azors Shlishi, which happened yesterday. Now we're holding Yud Aleph. That was the 3rd day of the Tumo. That was Azor Shvi, Azor Shlishi. In the Erev Pesach, there was a second Hazor Zayin. Sharei tzorich ben Azor la'Azor Daled Yomim. Umolu be'elu Daled Yomim v'tovlu ve'osu pischeim b'Torah. They had to do a few things. Those who were Tomei Mes, a lot of people were Nitmel Meis Bamidbar. We know about it. Those who were Tomei Mes, anybody who's Metamet, anybody who died in the Midbar, everybody here will soon see how many people died in the Midbar, and they were Nitma B'Meis, and they did not make Hefer Apor until they're coming into Eretz Yisrael. So in Asiri L'Chodesh Nisan, which is the Yom Vikros, that was the Yom Shlishi L'Tuma, and on that day, apart from what it says in the whole Sugyas Agmori Soite, all the Nisim, Kamashanasu, B'Yis Yom Sav Deradak, that was the days they made Hazor Rishayna, which was a Shlishi Latuma. 4 days thereafter, which is Yudaled, they made Hazor Shnio in order to be prepared. And in those 3 days, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, they were Mal, the Kolo, Oma Yotzim, and Mitzrayim, they were Toivel. So they come to Erev Pesach, they can make the Korban Pesach. They had Mila, they had Hazor, and they had Tefillah. So let's just have a short understanding what's happening. Vos tutzachto, who are we talking about? If we know there was a Chet HaMeraglim. Chet HaMeraglim happened, as we say, Shtei Timor in Tainis Dav Chavtes. It happened in the 2nd year in Chavtes Nisan. There was a Chet HaMeraglim. They left Chavtes Nisan and they came back Tisha B'Av. That's a year and a couple months after the Yotzim in Mitzrayim. Because of Chet HaMeraglim, before the Chet, the minyan was 603,550. That's the minyan we find in Sefer Bamidbar. Prior to Chet HaMeraglim was 603,000 and change. Now, because of Chet HaMeraglim, anybody between the ages of 20 and 60 died in the Midbar. How do they die in the Midbar? It's a fascinating Gemara in a few places in Shas, in Tainis, and in Baba Basra. Every year on Tisha B'Av, which is the Yortzeit, the anniversary of when the Meraglim came back from Eretz Yisrael, they dug 603,000 kvarim. And everybody went to sleep in the kever. They woke up in the morning, there were 15,000 people who froitroit. 15 times 40 is 600,000, was another 3,000. Froitroit, there were another couple people. Throughout the 40 years in the Midbar, there was an identical number of people who died every Leil Tisha B'Av. In the last year, the Gemara says, that was the year the last 15,000 people did not die. That was the Nes. They went to sleep, they went into the kever on Leil Tisha B'Av, the last 15,000 people, and they didn't die. They thought they made a toast in the Chodesh. They waited by Tisvov. They saw Ismail al-Levana, and they didn't die. They understood there was a Nes, and they were kevet in Yontif. One of the 7 reasons in Chazal why Chamishos Be'ov is in Yontif, Lo Yehoyu Yomim Tov L'Yisrael Chamishos Be'ov, because Posku Meisei Midbar. This is a phenomenal vort, which is said over B'Shem Kama V'Kama, but we know the vort B'Shem, the Alte von Slabotke, who said the reason why, Vossi Given, why really the Nace happened. Okay, that was Al Pia Dibur, that the last year they got a credit, and 15,000 people, which were included in the Doyer Hamidbar, did not die. And he said, every year when everybody went to the kever, when a guy went, before he went to sleep at night, he said, you know what, if Allah maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make a nace, it's not going to be me. But statistically, first year, the chances is 2.5%, 1/40th, that I'm going to die, I'm probably going to get up tomorrow. And every year, the chances became bigger and bigger, because whoever was alive, at the end of the day, is going to have to die. The guys who went to sleep in the kever on the last day, and they knew they're not getting up in the morning. So when they davened Ma'ariv on Leil Tisha B'Av of the 40th year, at that time they were 100% convinced that Einoid Milvado, the only thing that can help me is not statistics, it's not a Treffen Bayenem, but it's going to be me. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to save me, Einoid Milvado, and therefore they were nitzel. They got the schus because at that time there was a 100% emunah shakadosh baruch hu yasalem this. But that's not negeya. In any event, the Doyer Hamidbar, that's a Doyer Hamidbar which wasn't zoiche to be nichnas to Eretz Yisrael. Who was zoiche to be nichnas to Eretz Yisrael? Two people. One of them, people which were under 20, okay, and I would like to say it with a grain of salt, under 20, because somebody who was from the age of 13 till the age of 20, which was in that Tzas Meraglim, he was part of the Chet, he died even if he was under 20. But we're talking about people that were not included at all. From the age of 20 to 60, every single one of them died. That's a 603,000 people that died throughout the 40 years in the Midbar. Somebody who was under 20 was not included in the Chet of Dor HaMidbar, and that's the reason for that being Shteit Neshayim, because B'din Shamayim, there's no Chai Ve'oinshin, Pochas Megil Esrim. B'din Odom, B'bein Shloshes V'maylo, Beis Nizmaynish, we're Godel. But B'din Shamayim, you're not Chayev till you are 20 years of age. That's one group of people. So the youngsters who were then from age 0 to age 20, who are right now in the Knesset Eretz Yisrael from the age 40 plus a couple days till the age of 60, that's their age right now. This is the group of people who did not participate, were not included in the Oynesh V'Chet HaMeraglim. On top of it, the people that were born in the Midbar, anybody that was born in the Mahalach of the 40 years that they were Shoyeh in the Midbar, they also were not included in the Chet HaMeraglim and in the Oynesh of death. So we have two groups of people that were under 20 in the Shas Chet HaMeraglim, and today they're almost up to 60 years of age. And the second one, that people that were born throughout the 40 years in the Midbar, that the oldest one of them is a little less than 40 years old. Now, those who were under 20, they were Nimol in Mitzrayim. Because when they made the first Korban Pesach, when they came out of Mitzrayim, all those kids, anybody who was the oral at that night, Moshe Rabbeinu took and he was Mal. We learned that Moshe Rabbeinu was Mal, Moshe and Aaron were Mal, all the Tinoikes who were there, Bish'as, Yitzias Mitzrayim. Eile, the second group number 2, which were born in the Midbar, were not Mal in the Midbar. Why not? Zok the Radak. I would like to read with you a very long Radak, but it's very extensive and not so poshut. Zog the Radak. Umipnei ma loimolu hayeloidim b'midbar. Why all those people who were born in the Midbar, they're not part of Chet HaMeraglim. The regular children were born throughout the 40 years. Omru Chazal ki arboim shono shehoyu Yisrael b'midbar loinoshvo lohem ruach tzefainis. These are ruach. Every day is a few ruchos menashvos. We'll soon see. And ruach tzfainish, which is supposed to be a healing factor, to be merapeh, the petza amilo, would not noishev the whole 40 years in the Midbar. Steht in Gemara in Yevomis and Daf in Perek Oral. Why wasn't ruach tzfainish Noisheva throughout the 40 years in the Midbar. Ki heichi deloi libadru anane kovet. We know that we had Anonim, 7 layers of Anonim, which were mogging on Klal Yisrael from all the tzoras, from anything and everything. That's the Anane kovet. So if there would be a Ruach Tzfainis, Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't want the Ruach to blow away the Anane kovet, which were protection, shelter on Klal Yisrael. Lefichach loy molu zog der Radak. Ki Ruach Tzfainis refuah lemakas dam, vezu lo so sakona. The Ruach Tzfainis is a refuah for makas dam, for anybody who's bleeding. Vezu lo so, if you're lacking it, is a sakona. Ve'omu b'yoyim de'ibu b'yoyim de'shusa le'malil le'mesachinen pirush ein molin ve'ein mekizin shusa ruach kodim ki sakona le'moitzi dam. The Gemara says in Yevamis that b'yoyim de'shusa and b'yoyim de'ibu, if the yoyim me'unon, you don't, or yoyim de'shusa is a ruach kodim, you're not mal and you're not makis dam, you don't donate blood in those days because it's sakona. Do we find every day when you make a bris milah, every time you go to a bris, you feel the northern wind coming to heal the milah? Zog the Radak Yishloimer Atam ki b'chol yoyim nesheves ki moshe omu Chazal daled ruchis menashes b'chol yoyim v'ruach tzfeinis im kol echad mehem. Every single day there's 4 winds blowing, and with each one of those winds, Ruach Tzfeinis is mixed in those winds. In most days, a southern wind, a western wind, a northern wind, the northern wind is goiver, is overtaking the sharuchis. Ruach Tzfeinis, the strong wind from the north, ha'anonim. She's the one who spreads out the clouds. K'mo shekosov ruach ever v'tetarem ve'aruach tzfeinis oimer ki'en yoimboy v'toyer elem ruach tzfeinis v'chen oimer mitzofen zov yoso v'im shar ruches imotzo anonim lo'ev she'im mispazres mipneim. For other ruches, the anonim are not mispazer; they could still remain sheltered at one specific location. But the ruach tzfeinis, ואף על פי שרוח צפייניס עמהם כמו שאומרי תפל אלוהם, אבל בהיוסו גויברס, when the ruach tzfeinis overpowers other ruchis, ומפזרס האנונים. ולפי שבמדבר לאנוש ובוטלו המילה. The reason why they didn't mesaken milah for all those people, all those babies that were born in the midbar, is because ruach tzfeinis לאנוש. ורבסינו ז"ל לא אמרו טעם למה אין ישמור עם אותו למילם ביום בשוס, אבל אמרו כיוון שהרגילו אינו מזיק. וכן אמרו והיינו דדושו בעירבים שייסם שם פסוים השם. So why does the Gemara say that today, if we find the day take, there's no ruach tzfeinis not to be mal? Al pi roiv, most days ruach tzfeinis blows, therefore you can follow zach on the roiv, shem psoim Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be shem, and therefore there's no halacha strictly to check with the weather bureau if today there will be ruach tzfeinis, and therefore you could be mal every single day. Listen to this. Listen to this phenomenal Radak. Yochol hoya HaKadosh Baruch Hu lohoshiv ruach tzfeinis v'lo yizbadru anonei kovet v'lo yisibat l'mitzvos milah. He says, Hayad Hashem tiktzar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have done, there should be a ruach tzfeinis, there would be the healing factor, and yet the anonei kovet should not be nisbadru, nispazru l'chol ever. HaKadosh Baruch Hu p'saklein lekat Hayad Hashem tiktzar. So the Radak emesu ki lo yibotzer mimenu mizime yizborach v'yizborach והוא יסבורך המצווה על המילה לשמונה יומים, הוא הכריש מהם, ולא יזירום לומו לילודים כל עשר שונים. לפי שהמצווה אינה בטלו, כי אם לא היסו בזמנה, יכול לו ליאס אחר זמן. ובעבור הערך זמן המצווה, לא ישנה הקדוש ברוך הוא מן הגוילום. מה יהיה לגבות? He says, Milo, you could be mal the Milo later, come to Eretz Yisrael, you'll be mal later. Who said you have to be mal today? You'll be mal later. So in order, Kadosh Baruch Hu is not going to be Mishana de Teva just to be Mekayim de Lechatchila, that the Milah has to be done in the Yom HaShmini. Wait till later. What if somebody dies? Somebody's not going to survive. Ki af al pi shemeshana miktzas oilo b'ktzas anisim, וקריאס ים סוף, והירדן, ועמידת השמש, לא יעשה כן ברוב הניסים, כי אפילו בניצוח המלחומס, ועוזרו לאויבו, ויועיסה על ידי סיבו, כמנהג הועיל במלחומס. He says, even in wars, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't use this verna bal moifes. Whenever you could minimize using the tool of a miracle, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't use a moifes. You see that even by milchomos, Zokter, Kadosh Baruch Hu does it, is oitefis besibo kemina goylom, kemo shetziva milchemes iricha akofas arir b'shofris, kemo sheoisim atzorim al ir lafchidu v'la'avilom. He says, go blow shofar. We're soon going to see capturing Yericho. He's going to do go blow shofar to tishrek in the oilam. The oivim should be all full of pachad and beholo. Ukemo shetziva b'milchemes ayis simulev oirev. You have to go make an ambush, a hekef, a whole patent, a whole taxis milchama. So Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't do nisim for no tzorich. And every time he wants to be menatzech in milchama, even though they should be a nisim included, faket, Kadosh Baruch Hu wraps it up with a darkei ateva in order he shouldn't be considered an ace. He shouldn't be take a miracle. So maybe we're going to say, forget, they should have been mal, they should have even without Ruach Tzvainis, and they made an Aveira. ומפני זה גם לא עשו פסח גם כן, כי אם בשונו השניס שיוצאו במצרים ושהיו ערלים. ומילס הזכורים אפילו מקצת מהכבש מנעשס הפסח, שנאמר הימו לא כל זוכר והזיקו לעשויסי. He says, and therefore, they only made a Pesach Bashona Hashenis. Bashona Hashenis, we know, was the second Yetzias Mitzrayim, was before Chetam Meraglim. Chetam Meraglim only took place in Choftes Sivan, of the second year. But Pesach, there was no such a thing of, they didn't have the Chetam Meraglim, and they did make the Korban Pesach even. V'yesh drash, ki shevet Levi lo molu b'midbo, v'somchu lazer lepasuk, uvrischa in Tzayru, and he brings down that Sheves, ki shomri mosecho uvrischa in Tzayru, that Shevet Levi was mal in the midbar. Eds an weiter der Radak, v'yesh lefarish ki lekach lemolu oisa hashonim, he's muchetzach. He doesn't really understand why weren't they mal in those 40 years. Lefi shenemar, he wants to give him more of a reasonable reason other than Ruach Tzvainis, which seemed to him a little bit of an ambiguous reason. Every time we have 42 Masoros in the Midbar. Some of them stretched to almost a year. Some of them was Yoim, the Apostle. Yoim, Yomayim, Chodesh. They never ever got a tochnit, a plan when they are going to travel. Al pi yachnu, Hashem yachanu, al pi Hashem yisoyu. V'imo yumolim ha'yeloidim v'yoim noisim yoim ha'mileh hoya animoilim v'sakonim mipnei haderech. If they were nimoil, and you make a bris in the morning, and an hour later, Kadosh Baruch Hu goes out, and he says, you have to travel weiter. So those babies who were just nimol, machmas haderech, they'll be in sakona. V'hu shezeu shehomar, the Pasuk says here, ki lumolu oisam baderech. Ki ine ro'inu, Moshe Rabbeinu icher zman milas b'noi b'avur haderech. Moshe Rabbeinu was me'acher zman milas b'noi because he traveled. Because Baruch Hu told him, go out of Midian. V'zeu she'omar ki lo imolu oisam baderech. V'im toimar in ro'inu shene'enash Moshe al ikuv ha'mila hi ke Moshe kosev ha'evakesh ha'misai. So why weren't they ne'enash? You see, Moshe was me'akev the milah because of this reason. Lo ne'enash elo lefi shelo nisakev b'Midian ad mul b'noi ve'ad chiyusai. Moshe should have been Mal, his son, in Midian, ad chiyusai, till the few days you have to wait till he heals. Ki beyoim noisoi lo noso al pi adibur. Ki afa b'shom ala Kadosh Baruch Hu leich shuv Mitzrayim lo amal she'isa bay bayoim. Ve'elo lo mulas b'noi v'lisakev ad chiyusai. Moshe Rabbeinu's chet was, Kadosh Baruch Hu told him go back to Mitzrayim, but he didn't tell him go today, go back. So if you have your kid right now, you have a mitzvah milo, be malim and wait till chiyusay, till he gets in ganzen gesund. V'achar kach lolechas v'mitzrayim v'mitzvah zaboyer. V'al ken oichichu baderech al yedei achoyli v'shom aloi at shehoya b'maloi sheyuchal lomu v'lisakev shom. He says, and therefore, for Moshe Rabbeinu, you see, He had a tzivu, he didn't have to go immediately. And therefore, afterwards, when he used by Vakesh Amisai, he was mal, and he waited a few days till the baby healed the Makas Amilo. ומפני זה עשו פסח במדבר בשנה השנית, כי מולו כולם, לפי שהיו בדרך, לא היו בדרך. You're asking, why בשנה השנית? Fine, they didn't have Chet HaMeraglim yet. But, why did they make, if you say, בשנה השנית, why were they mal? He says, לפי שלא היו בדרך, כי לא ינוסו כל אויס השנה, כי עשו המשכן שם במדבר סיני. ולא יאמר כי לא ימולו אלי ילודים בדרך, כל זמן שהיו במדבר סיני, לא היו בדרך, וזה טעם הנוכל בעיני. Shmektem, here's a good reason. The reason why they made a Pesach, the only Pesach which was made was the Shona HaShenis, because they were Midbar Sinai, they were parked. They didn't start the Masores. They were there the whole time in Midbar Sinai. And therefore, from Matan Torah till the next year, they were parked over there. It says there were a year, Gansiyo, there were sitting stations. He said they weren't traveling. They weren't traveling. So therefore, there was no reason why the kids were not. You're not afraid that the Shbok was going to tell you tomorrow morning travel. Therefore, they got together. Anybody who was not or who was born during that year was Nimuel, and there was no oral b'tech beisim. They could have done the Pesach. Bashon Hashenis. Al Capone. If I'm to wrap up the Radak. Only those who weren't mal me'oilom Yeshua made a milah, because those who were malim b'mitzrayim were already nimoilim. They're already in mal. There's no reason to mal them again. And if you look at the psukim, let's learn the psukim. V'zeh adovar shemal Yeshua kol ha'am hayoytze b'mitzrayim azchorim kol anshe hamluchos ha'meisav ha'midbar b'derech mitzrayim ki mulim hoyu kol ha'am hayoytze mimitzrayim v'chol ha'am hayeloydim b'midbar b'derech. Those are Mayoytzim Mitzrayim. They were Nimoil. V'cholom hayeloidim b'midbar b'derech b'tzeisim lo yimolu. V'ez bneihem hayekim tachtom Yeshua oiso mal b'derech ki areilim oyu ki lo moilu oiso b'derech. B'kitzer, he goes away, he deviates from the Sugyas HaGemara that the reason why they weren't mal is because of Rach Tzveinis, but he rather would like to suggest that the pshat of the lack of the milah is because Lemaisa, they were in the derech, they were traveling, and during traveling, it's sakonas nefashos. Therefore, in Pesach Rashona Hashenish, where they were in Midbar Sinai, they weren't traveling. Therefore, they were mal. All the people who were born in Shana Rishana. Guys who were born in Mitzrayim, they were Nimuel. The kids that were born in the first year, they made a milah because they weren't traveling. From the second year on, Iyar, they started traveling. And since you don't know if you're going to go today, tomorrow, for the entire 40 years, they weren't Nimuel. Those babies are right now being Nimo by Yeshua Binu. So there's only one group of people who are Nimo according to the Radak by Yeshua Binu. Those are those who were born in the Midbar from the second year onwards. Second year they still made a Pesach. There was Pesach Mitzrayim. Everybody was Nimo by Moshe and Aaron. There were Pesach in the second year. Everybody was Nimo because they weren't traveling. From the second year they were in the middle of transition, and Kodesh Baruch Hu mitzvah them to travel tomorrow morning, and during Baderech it's a sakana. So Sofik Pekuach Nefoshes, they're always on standby. Maybe tomorrow you're going to have to go ahead and travel. And Kodesh Baruch Hu tell you, unlike Moshe, the guy that tzivah, go back to Mitzrayim, wait, be mal, wait 3 days and go. Kodesh Baruch Hu told him, Pi Hashem Yachno, Pi Hashem Yiso. Kodesh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, B'tekeh b'chatzait, says, we're moving, right now you got to move. So if somebody who just nimel this morning, you're going to take him. It's a Sofek Pekuach Nefoshes. Therefore, there was a Gzeira, there was a Psak during the Midbar from the second year on till the Knesset Eretz Yisrael. There were mal. These are the boys who are from the age of basically the oldest one of them, 38 years of age, 38 and change, and those are the one who are being nimel by Yeshua right now. This is all fine and pashut. The problem is, let's read in the beginning of the parak. It says like this: make prepare the knife of the Milo, v'shuv mulas Yisrael shenis. Vayas Yeshua chavitzum v'yomos Yisrael giros ha'arolos. What does it mean? V'shuv mulas bnei Yisrael shenis. According to what we learn right now, is no shenis. What shuv? Shuv mean again. Shenis means the second time. According to what we learned right now, Yeshua mal only those who were born in the Midbar never had a Milo. So this is the Chure Kasha, and who is Magish? Vel Shmekt on the Kasha Rashi. Look at Rashi on the words Shenis. Says Rashi, Shemolu Kvar Belel Yitziosam Mimitzrayim, Kaol Godli Yachad. Klal Yisrael was Nimol when they came out of Mitzrayim, Vizu Pam Shenis. שכל 40 שנה שהיו במדבר לנוש ורוח צפייניס, ולא יהיה להם יוים נויח לימוד כמו ששנינו ביבומס. So Rashi says, Shenis doesn't mean second time to make a milah on the same person, but this is the second episode, the second time in history that there is Shenis is the me'oire, which is being re-experienced with one massive milah experience in the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and then there's another second ceremony of Milo, but doesn't talking about the people of Mishtatev. People of Mishtatev could be the same people. The reason why they were Mal Lamidba because of Ruach Tzveinis. Shenis means only that there's a second episode of a mass Mila ceremony which is taking place once in Leil Yetzias Mitzrayim and once in Yud Aleph Nisan here in Givat HaAralot. Rashi continues, V'Rabbeinu Amru, Shenis, another pshat. Zuprias Milo, Shalonido LaAvram Avinu. In other words, we know that the Milo has two halokim. There is the Milo, which is the Chituch, and the Priya, which is supposed to be Pereya. It's like the Tzitzim Ameakvim. And the Mitzvah's Priya Loinido LaAvram Avinu was only given to Yeshua. So the Pasuk V'Shuv Neisol Shenis is talking about the people who are mishtatef in the Mila Shenis, means they're redoing a second Mila, which means those who were in Yetzias Mitzrayim, even though they were Mal. Remember all those people until the age of 20, all these people had a regular Mila. So in the people that were there, that was Mal already in Mitzrayim, they weren't Mekayim Mitzvahs Priya. Right now they're coming to give us our rollers, and the Nimol the second time. The Mila is the second time. So right now, who is being Nimol? Not only those who were born in the Midbar, but even those who were already Nimol in Leil Pesach by Moshe Rabbeinu, but the first ceremony, they had a Mila without Priya. And now Yeshua takes and makes a Priya, fixes over. He makes a Priya to all those. So those who weren't Nimol at all, he makes Mila and Priya. Those who were Nimol in Leil Yetzias Mitzrayim, getting only Priya. The Radak right away says, brings down this Pirush Rav Yeshua represents Al Shomu Shenis Al Priya Kolonit No Milos Priya Lavrom Avinu V'Nitchid Dvarim Eilu V'Homu Kishenis Rotzaloimar Al Tzitzim HaMa'ak V'Samilo Shemach Ziziro Yishiyach Ze'olem Shenis. So the Radak wrong. It's not true. V'Yiroe Kinimolu Heitev Aval Priya Samilo Nitla Lavrom Avinu V'Chen Oimer B'Bereishis Rabo Avrom Avinu Pores Milosim. The Radak says wrong. He's a Medrash. The Medrash says, even though the Gemara Yevamah says, no Priya L'Avrom Avinu, but the Medrash Rabbah says that Avrom Avinu was Mekayim the Mitzvah's Priya as well. And therefore, the word Shenis just means that if the word Tzitzin She'ame'akvim is Samilo, because we know even Basman Hazeh, somebody's Mal and you left Tzitzim Ame'akvim, Tzitzin She'ame'akvim, then you're not Chayzer. But the Tzitzim Ame'akvim, if you didn't take off the roiv skin, which is choyfed da Torah, and there are tzitzin, few pieces, residuals of skin, which are me'akev the milah, you're supposed to go ahead and redo it again. You fix it, and you redo it again. So the word shenis, the Radak says, doesn't go on the Priya, because Priya was given to Avram Avinu, and the guys who were made milah b'Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu, did make Priya according to the Radak. Only thing shenis means to say if somebody had a milah which were not Tzitzim HaMe'akvim, were not taken off by the first time, you go ahead and make a Priya. You make not a Priya, but a fixation of the first one, and Tzitzim HaMe'akvim. This Sherish Machlekes, if need no Priya L'Avram Avinu, or not need no Priya, but embassy is, it's a whole 2-year source in the Gemara in Yevam Mustafa Aleph. And I'm reading the Gemara. The Gemara states, Omar Rabba Bar Yitzchok, lo need no milas Priya L'Avram Avinu, shenem Meisa Yomar Hashem Yeshua Salach Chochav V'Tzurim. They didn't give. So the Gemara, the Vidil Mahanach the Lemol, the Ksiv Kumulim Mahom Hayotzim B'Chol B'Chol HaYeludim, Maybe the tzivui is only on the Mila to the people who were born in the Midbar, like the Radak says, and they weren't Nimol at all. So the Melim came Mau Shuv. What's Shuv? Ela Lepriya. Umay Shenis, Lakushe Soif Milo Letchilas Milo. Matchilas Milo Meakeves, Af Soif Milo Meakvim Boy. The time that Tzitzim, Ameakeves Amilo, Bosa Achoifes Roivator. This in the beer of the Kusha Sagmora, in Ken Mai Shuv, Rashi learned, Mai Shuv, I'm reading the Rashi Yevamas, the Mashma Zimna Achrina. Shaila was from the Mila, what's Shuv Muna Yisrael, Vaistois, he was mal them a second time. The Teretz is, it's called a mitzvah spriya that Yeshua have to be mal, even those who were mal in Mitzrayim, because of the mitzvah spriya they wasn't either. So be'emes, according to this Maskana Sagamora, is lo yinid no priya lavom avinu. In other words, Rashi by us here in Yeshua, that brings down B'Shem Rabbi Seinu, Shenis, that it goes on the priya because lo yinid no priya lavom avinu, is a Rashi which is based on this girsa in the Sugya Sagmor and Nivamas, so it goes on even those people who were in Mal in Mitzrayim weren't Mekayim the Mitzvah Priya, and right now they're getting. Tosis comes along and says Pirush Bekuntres, Goras im Kein Mai Shuv Mau Shenis Baya Ba'am Penafshi and Mishana La Kusha V'lo Garsinan Ela La Kusha V'lo V'dilme V'rach Beforish the Mai Shuv Mai Shenis Kula Chad Milsu V'garsinan Dilma La Kusha V'lo Achios V'lo Lepriya V'lo Girsa Zu Lo Mishani B'maskona Mideach Kusha. It's a total different question. The Gemara is not Goyas Ela La Kusha, not V'dilmo. The Gemara goes according to the Rach. Comes the Gemara never answered V'dilmo La Kusha Seif Milo Tchilas Milo. According to the Maskona of the Gemara, this Rabbi Barabitzchak that says Le'nit no Priya L'Avram Avinu is Avram was also Nitztav Am Priya. And the Gemara is just saying you learn from Shenis that Tzitzim HaMe'akvin, if you didn't do it the first time, you must do it the second time. So it comes out the Radak learned like Tosfos, and that's where he writes V'yesh b'Rabbi Seinu she'omru al Shenis al Priya v'nitchu dvarim elu, because according to the Radak's Girsa, the Gemara's Maskana is no. Enochanami, this halacha of Le'nit no Priya L'Avram Avinu is wrong, and it is given to Avram Avinu. Emma says it's a machlekes in Yerushalmi, in Yerushalmi there's a machlekes. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Elokim al Avram v'atos brisi tishmo ato v'zachar acharecho, tishmo brisi imo lekol zocho, imo lidbeischo miknas kaspecha v'oiso brisi bebrischem, and v'hoyo brisi bebrischem, b'bsarchem lebris oilom." Zog the Yerushalmi, imo mekal shtei milos, achas lemilo, achas lepriya, achas lemilo v'achas letzitzim. Rav Omar, imo mekal lenoyle shumol shetzorch la'atif imenu dam bris, imo mekal Yisrael orel shelo yomol. Zog the Alam Meforshe the Yerushalmi, the Moshe the Korban Eidah. If you learn that it says imo, it says twice. So one Madama learns is Mila and Priya, and he learns Nit no Priya L'Avram Avinu. And Rav is the same Rav that Dingzach and Rabba Baritzach in Igmor Yevamas holds Lo Nit no Priya L'Avram Avinu. So he learns out from Imo two other dinims. He learned from Imo that one of them that only oral shaloi mal can be mal, and somebody's noel mol tzorch latif imenu dambris. To this is a fascinating kasha. If you only need no Priya L'Avram Avinu, so as Yeshua mechadesh, these halacha of Eila mitzvahs shein hanovi rasher lechadesh dover me'ato. So how do you mechadesh this halacha of Yeshua comes along mechadesh a new mitzvah of Priya? He cannot be mechadesh that Eila mitzvahs if they. So Taisa says v'yishlem but the halacha l'Moshe Misinai v'Yeshua asmech akro. So be'emes the halacha was given to Moshe Misinai. In the midbar there were mal al sakone. And Mimele, the mitzvah's priya was not chal bepoyel because of ruach tzvainis till they came to Eretz Yisrael. But they were given it in the midbar. They never ever experienced it because, but it's not the chadash dover mato. It's halacha l'Moshe Misinai. They waited because of circumstances, and Yeshua feared the race. The Ramban Afnort in Sefer Bereshis and the Ramban in Yevamas. The Ramban in Yevamas over there in the Sugya Sagamora in Daf Ayin Aleph. Hold on, we don't need a Priya L'Avram Avinu ksiv ba'isa I kasho v'aksiv Eila mitzvah she'en hanovi rasher l'chadash dover me'alei kasho. The Moshe nitztava kach anu oimru lo nitno la'asas Priya אלא לישוע ולא לאברהם. מכל מקום בספר 40 שונו, נצטב ומוישה עליה בארבס אויר, ויסל כדאיתך מקור עוול הרעילים, איך אכלו פסח וקודשים. If you're going to say that he was mitzvah aleo, so there are railim, so how can they eat Pesach and Kochim? Oral cannot eat Kochim the whole time in the midbar they were eating korbanos. Yinami al pi adibu nitztav la'aseisa b'knisason la'aretz. And then the Ramban says, Ramban really muches, how do they eat Kochim in the midbar? It's a good kasha. So the Ramban, the Kochilei tikshalei, she'osa sheyotzu mimitzrayim, or yo'oichli moisaf al pi shalei poru, shalei nit no priya ela liyeshua. So at the time, the mitzvah is such a mitzvah that is